Starting. All right, it looks like we're live. Hey, welcome to Zak and Dustin versus Sports Number One. I'm Dustin. This is Zak. We're going to be talking about some football mostly. Mostly the Seahawks and the Bears are our primary focus, but we'll hit around the rest of the league a little bit. Zak, want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Zak, the notorious Bears fan. And I'm going to be dedicating that half of the show to the Bears, and I fully believe it deserves the full attention of the show.
And I'm going to be the good part of the show, right? With me and Bobby Wagner here to hold it down for the Hawks, and then we have like these intermissions where Zak talks about the Bears. That's like the time to go get snacks and stuff. You can just do that.
All right, fair enough.
All right, we'll start off with an intermission because the Bears they're arguably having a better season, a little bit of a better season than the Seahawks, you know. So we'll go ahead and start with them. We'll start with the little guys first. All right, Zak, you want to talk about the Bears versus Lions a little bit?
Sure. I thought it was an incredible game, and it proved that Trubisky is not a system quarterback, and I will defend that to the grave. Here's the deal. Here's what people don't understand about Chase Daniel, right? I think it was 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, had a pretty good game. But he's familiar with Matt Nagy's offense. And that's why, right? It's because he's been with Matt Nagy for about 5 to 6 years, so he's familiar with how it worked. And the Lions are a terrible team. That's why. Trubisky probably would have thrown for 5 TDs at the least. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, Darius Slay is free, right? So there's a chance that the Biskin AR-15 or 12 now, I guess, would have connected 5 times, right? But who knows? Maybe inserting a backup quarterback in 2 days before the game that has like no time to do reps with the team on a short week. And he just goes and does just as well. Suggests maybe the Bisk is a system quarterback.
It's a fair assessment. He didn't turn the ball over. He can't move like Trubisky, at least. But he was throwing it. He was making those short passes. He was hitting open guys for the most part. And, of course, the defense came in and saved the day right there at the end with Eddie Jackson's pick 6. But I don't know, man. I'm still feeling him out. I'm still feeling Trubisky out. And he might even miss this upcoming game against the Giants. They're not entirely sure, if he's going to be 100%. Maybe, but that might be because the Giants are so bad and they believe that the Bears can win it with Chase Daniel. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna be honest for a second, yeah, I think the Bisk has shown he's all right. He's taking steps forward and he's getting better as the year's going on. He's definitely better than Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel, they didn't ask a whole lot of, right? They didn't ask him to make any big plays or big throws, and he was just efficient. Like, I mean, whenever you got a backup quarterback that goes in with a great defense and weapons surrounding him, then he just needs to be efficient, right? Like Nick Foles didn't need to be great; he just needed to be efficient and safe with the ball, and then let Doug Peterson make a game plan around that, right? And then very similar with Matt Nagy. Just needed to create a game plan that allowed Chase Daniel to be safe and efficient with the ball. He obviously is not as good of a thrower as the Bisk. Mitch Trubisky's like not super accurate, right? Like from play to play, but he is a lot
yeah.
Chase Daniel missed that. Like, he got that touchdown to Tariq Cohen in the end zone, right? But before that, didn't he miss that exact same play and Tariq Cohen was just as open in the end zone?
Yes. Yeah, it was kind of cool that they ran the same play, and I'm glad that it worked out the second time.
Yeah.
But that does suck because Trubisky has done that. Yeah, like I've said to you in the past, how he seems like he believes Taylor Gabriel is like 6'5". Like he'll just sail it right over his head. He'll be wide open in the middle of the field. He's gotten a bit better at those, but there's still times where you see that inaccuracy, and it worries me because it's kind of hard to gauge the talent because he's fit really well into what Nagy has done, and so it's hard to gauge who he is as a QB. Other than, again, you see the inaccurate passes when they're wide open. Mostly it's just these overthrown passes. And I don't know, maybe he's just getting a bit excited when he sees somebody that wide open, and he's just got to adjust for how big his receivers are.
Man's got to eat.
Yeah. I'm hoping that's what it is. I don't want to end up in the position where it's like a Dak Prescott and they're just like, no, this guy's our quarterback. He's gonna do it. And then, well, he had the one good year and then he's all-time mediocre, right? I don't want that to be like the past, 30, 40 years that the Bears have had.
Yeah. In a Lions game, Jordan Howard, what did he cut Matt Nagy off in traffic one day? What's going on? He had I'm gonna look up his stats real quick.
I would say my best guess at why Jordan Howard cut off Matt Nagy was he was upset about the lack of play time. All right, he didn't do it and then Matt Nagy cut him. He did it because Matt Nagy hasn't been using him. But in my humble opinion, what's that?
13 yards. He had 7 rushing attempts, which is terrible for your bruiser RB1, especially when you got a backup quarterback in. And he's 13 yards, man.
Yeah, I was surprised. Now,
great game.
They were controlling it with the short passes. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I mean, they had the good game plan. It just feels like Jordan Howard could so easily be a part of these game plans, and Nagy doesn't like using him for whatever reason. I don't know. He doesn't often. I mean, he had 20 attempts against the Vikings, or 18 rather. But before that, he had 11 against the Lions. Oh, you guys played the Lions twice in 3 games.
Yep.
We're about to do that with the Niners. I don't know why they don't spread the schedules out more, but 14, 22, 12, 14, 11, 24. I guess it's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, I would just say maybe it seems like it's so obvious when they're using him. He's right behind Trubisky, and now whenever he has Tariq Cohen back there, he's good for the misdirections and to give Tariq the ball. But a lot of times when Jordan Howard's sitting right behind Trubisky, they know, okay, and it's first down, right? It's like they're probably just going to go for a quick run, see if they can get a few yards. And that's the thing. I see the box stacked on him all the time, and he's not able to really get anywhere because there's not anything being opened up for him. And he's getting a little bit better at the receiving, but it seems like they have so many other weapons that they're using, especially Tariq Cohen, that it's almost like they don't need to use him as much. And maybe they're trying to get Trubisky more involved in passing and being developed in that way, since they get high up, they get large leads a lot, and maybe they're just trying to get his reps in and get that experience. That's the only thing I can think of. Jordan Howard's the number 1 RB in the game.
That's Chris Carson, but all right. Do you think that, what?
Penny?
Do you think that maybe Jordan Howard there's potential he might be used as trade bait in the offseason?
I don't like that you say that.
I'm not going to imply it. I'm just curious because I know there was teams had shown interest in him, and it seems like the entire league and media are catching on to Jordan Howard's not super popular in that new offense, the way Nagy runs it.
Yeah, It does, but I I don't know, because I feel like he's important because just him being the weapon there has been a help, even though he hasn't necessarily actively gotten the yards or made the plays himself. But him being there, being a distraction, right? Are they running Howard? Are they running Tariq? Or are they having Taylor Gabriel come across the field and doing some double reverse for 10, 15 yards? So I hope not. And because he's a beast. He's awesome.
Absolutely.
And, Doomsday Jordan Howard.
Hell yeah, Doomsday. Like, I want to be clear, I'm not advocating for getting rid of him. I think that would be a mistake. I mean, like, you have a beast, RB1 power back, and I think that's important to any offense. So I think that the Bears should hold on to him for a while, at least through his 5th-year option. I just am worried that maybe Matt Nagy will be like, well, he doesn't fit into my cute schemes. And Tariq Cohen just seems to very well. I don't know. Like, it's something that I would not completely put out of my mind, but I wouldn't advocate for it. I wouldn't do it unless they got a really good deal for it.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I would like it for, if we could, if it truly benefited us. And even then, right? Maybe we do get, let's say, some good draft picks. What do we get from those draft choices? If that turns out to work well, then it'd be good. But only time is going to tell if that ever happens. I'd say you have a proven good. Just like the whole Khalil Mack thing. You have a proven good in Khalil Mack, and you traded him for, let's get a couple of first-round picks and hope that those guys are going to be good. When you have arguably one of the best defensive players in Khalil Mack. But honestly, Oakland fans, I appreciate it. And a little quick side note, I think that John Gruden is rebuilding the team. I think he's gotten a lot of hate because of the whole Khalil Mack situation, but I hold no animus towards him.
Yeah, I don't know why he wanted to tear down a team that was 1 year removed from 12-4. There's that conspiracy theory type thing, right? I don't know if that's a proper word for it, but back in when he won the Super Bowl with Tampa, that wasn't his team, right? He got a lot of shit because someone else built that team. They built that defense, and so I'm wondering if maybe that is something he's I want to build this team, right? I'm going to build this team. So in that case, if you want to build your team, then I mean, I guess sure. There's also that idea that maybe they physically couldn't pay Mac. They might not have had the capital on hand, right?
Yeah.
Because of the new stadium.
Might as well have gotten something out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also is Derek Carr gonna?
Your mic just started picking up a lot of extra noise in the background. Kind of curious. It felt like it picked that it became more sensitive suddenly. Did you
I also live near an airfield.
Oh, Roger.
Yeah. So there's actually, this is right around the time they start lining up to land, and they're jets. There's an air base nearby.
Oh yeah, you're out by AUAB, right? Or not A? What the hell you did? Luke Air Force Base.
Yes.
Sorry, I went back to Qatar there for a second.
I thought you were doing some weird acronym for it, but yes, Luke Air Force Base.
Yeah, Luke AFB. Roger. All right. I mean, speaking of Khalil Mack, that guy's been an absolute monster with you guys. He's had that injury that slowed him down a little bit, but outside of that, he's been extremely dangerous. He's been disruptive. We saw in that Detroit Lions game, they put 3 people on it, right? Or I guess actually no, that was the Vikings game I was thinking of. But
and he was still getting through at times.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
just
like
cutting right through them.
yeah, he knocked down what a guard, a tackle, and then Dalvin Cook at the same time versus the Vikings. Like, what are you like? What is going on? How do you stop this man? And then the next play, like we were talking about that, the next play they only put one person on him, and then he takes Kirk Cousins, or no, then he takes he punches the ball out of Dalvin Cook's hands, and it's like, okay, well, no, you better put 3 people on him again.
Yeah. Can't give him an inch.
Yeah,
He'll eat it right up.
yeah.
I'm glad that we got him. I'm really looking forward to.
You guys gave up a lot, but there was that assessment that as far as like actual value, the Raiders suck right now, right? And they're giving up a lot of stuff, right? So they're giving the picks they gave back to you may have been lower picks, but they're higher value than what you would have had in those rounds. Or than what like you would get in those rounds, because you guys are like expected to be good for the next 3 years. They're expected to be bad for the next 3 years, right? So the picks, when you guys exchange, you're going to be giving them ones that are farther at the end of the round. They're going to be giving you ones that are higher at the beginning of the round. And so if they have, I read that thing that if the Raiders have a bottom 5 finish the next 3 years, or the next 2 years, and then you have a top 5 finish the next 2 years, then basically the trade in terms of value actually comes out. You traded the 17th overall pick for Khalil Mack. And then if someone walked up to you and was like, well, you trade a single first round pick, a single mid first round pick for Khalil Mack, would you do that? And I would say yes every time, right?
Yeah. And I actually, you actually introduced me to the whole grading the draft picks. I had no idea that I didn't realize that it was such a decent trade for Chicago. That it wasn't as costly as it seemed. And you explaining it, there's still like I understand what you're saying there, but whenever I actually go into how they grade that, I'm like, man, what the heck? It gets a little bit too intense for me. But seeing that we got a great deal, and we're paying a decent amount. Aaron Donald was the highest paid for, what was it, 12 hours, or maybe it was a whole day, and then Khalil Mack just beat the record, right? He highest played ever, and then tops him the next day or something. I can't wait till the Packers game. All right,
man, I can't.
My lips over here, man.
Dude, that's going to be a game. The Packers, if they run the table, they finish. We're going to talk about them a little bit later. Let's talk about. You want to talk about them right now? You want to talk about the Packers right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Packers right now because it's kind of about the Bears too, right? Semi. The Bears are sitting at 8-3 right now. If the Packers run the table, they end up at 9-6-1. So they need absolute disaster to strike the Bears in order for them to win the division, which is their best chance at getting into the playoffs, given they can't get to 10 wins.
Yep. And they have the Cardinals, Falcons, the Bears, the Jets, and the Lions. 3 home games and 2 road games left, and they have had trouble winning road games. However, I'd argue the Falcons and the Bears, well, the Falcons a little bit, mostly the Bears are really the biggest threats to them. But there's a chance that they could win all of those games. It's definitely not far-fetched, at least 4 of them, in which case, is that enough? Would that be enough to hit the wild card spot? There's a lot that would have to go right in order for that to happen, including the Vikings to lose 3 of their next 5 or 4 of their next 5, because they won the tiebreaker since they beat the Packers. So there's a lot to consider there. But I don't see the Cardinals beating them in Lambeau this week. The Falcons are going to be in Lambeau. If the Packers had to go there, I'd probably give it to the Falcons, but it's going to be a cold day. And I don't know. The Falcons are just like the best. They have the highest potential and just have not shown up since that Super Bowl. I don't know what's going on with them. But so I'd see the Packers winning that one and the Jets and the Lions. Those just seem like easy wins. So it's really up to how Chicago decides to show up at Soldier Field. I want that sweet revenge. I want it. I want Khalil Mack to have 5 sacks on Rodgers. Break his other leg or whatever he did last time. That would be great. And I want Rodgers to cry. So that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I think that the Bears and the Falcons should be the only threats to the Packers along that stretch. It is a pretty easy stretch. It's actually fortunate that Minnesota won because of that. Minnesota does not have it so easy. They have to play. Oh man, they have to play the Patriots. Hold on, I'll pull up Minnesota's schedule in a second. But the Packers. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like they're going to trash the Falcons because the Falcons' defense sucks. They're going to the Lambeau. The Packers have been decent in Lambeau. Man, the Falcons are unfulfilled potential. The Bears, I feel like the Bears will crush them. That's the one I'm looking forward to that game because, like, when do they play the Bears? Is that week 17?
No, that will be week 15.
Oh, okay. So it's like 2 weeks from now. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one because that's going to be like the official, like, it's over, crush. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be good. Like, I hope it's what ends up killing their chances. Come week 17, if they would have won that game, they would have gotten in the playoffs. But since they didn't, they're kicked out of the playoffs. Then again, if we faced them in the playoffs, only thing is do I really want to take the chance of facing Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs just to say that we beat him in the playoffs? So I think just keeping them out is the best chance.
Yeah, sure. And they'll probably be kept out. It's like right now the primary race is between for those last 2 spots, right, is between the Hawks, Vikings, I guess Packers. If Packers require everyone else to like have a disaster strike them, but and then the Panthers, right? Who have just gone on full tilt and might even continue losing. Who knows?
Oh man! And then they had, I don't know, like they've just lost some games where, like it was just kind of a really bad mistake, or I don't know, like going for it, the 2-point against the Lions to lose the game. I don't know about that decision. Not whenever it's so close. Like you don't have that huge of a lead. It's not really something you can afford. Like some of these teams that have 8+ wins, and they're just like, let's go for 2, which I kind of like because it's like, yeah, go for the win. But then when you don't get it, it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
It's great if you do, and the worst decision if you don't. And so, but I'm cool with it, personally.
Yeah, I'm good with the decision. I like the aggressiveness, right? Like if the Seahawks made that decision, I would be panicking, right? Like I'd be like, oh god, oh no. Because I have like anxiety. Like I don't have anxiety in my life ever. I'm not like an anxiety person. But when I watch Hawks games, man, sometimes I feel like I'm gonna die. It gets rough. I get nervous. We'll be up 2 scores and I'll be like, oh my god, they're about to come back. Oh no, don't do something stupid.
Oh man, that's right. Yeah, they're the king of that. Just these crazy comebacks in the 4th quarter.
Oh, I meant like when the Hawks are up 2 scores. When they're up 2 scores, I feel like I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, so I think the Panthers' biggest mistake they've made this year is not auto forfeiting to the Seahawks. Now the Seahawks defeated them at home, like officially, and they're mentally broken because that was their first home loss. But we'll talk about that one later. We'll get back to that. I'm kind of curious why the Packers aren't good.
Yeah, I'm curious, but I'm also I like it. I like hearing I like hearing the tons of speculations of what's wrong and who's to blame for the troubles that they've had over the past few years, other than Aaron Rodgers having both of his shoulders broken in a 5-year span. Maybe it was a bit longer, but it was within a short amount of time that he's had both his shoulder blades cracked, or collarbones rather. Actually, what I find interesting is how they're 4-6-1, and they're still in the hunt. Like, I don't like that. Like, it'll show all these teams and it'll be like, it'll bring up Green Bay at the bottom at 4-6-1, and I'm like, no, don't even will it into existence. All right, we need to just shut it down, tear their spirit down. I don't want to see this happen. I remember they did that before, ran the table, made it to the playoffs.
Yep, I remember that too. That was 2016, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I wasn't happy.
Yep, and they got beat up by the Falcons, and you loved it. Robert Alford's like his what do you call it? Flop? Yeah, his like famous flop.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Should have been a penalty, in my opinion. I mean, Rodgers, he bumped into him, and they just let it go because he's a QB. Should have been a 15-yard penalty.
I feel like a penalty was thrown, though, right? But it was for something else, but still it hit the Packers, right? I feel like it was like taunting or something. I feel like, if I'm remembering correctly, Aaron Rodgers said something afterward to him that drew a flag. Like, I think Rodgers got penalized, but not for what he did to Alford, for something else he did that play.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, did he throw the ball? That's right. He pitched the ball at him.
Yeah, it was.
Like, threw the ball out of frustration at him.
Yeah, and it was kind of petty too. Like it wasn't like it wasn't like he just threw it at him or he just kind of like.
Yeah, he just goes like that, right?
Disrespect.
Yeah, just annoyed. I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Packers they have a monster QB. They have one of the best O-lines in the NFL, statistically, right? They have three very, very good young corners. They had Clinton Dix before he left. They have all this time. Like, you hand that secondary to Pete Carroll, and he hands you the second Legion of Boom. So, like, I'm not buying that secondary. Like, oh man, they look like Clinton Dix wasn't playing well. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, it doesn't matter. It seems no matter who you throw back there, they don't play well. Micah Hyde is back there, and he's a mediocre safety for his whole career. Then he goes to Buffalo, and he's a monster. Like, I don't know. I'm not really I don't know what to think about all that. Casey Hayward, right, he was always a good corner, right? But he goes to the Chargers, and now he's consistently the one or two, between 1 and 3 corner in the NFL every single year. Like,
yeah, and they also have something they haven't had much of, and that's a decent running game, it seems. And Aaron Jones.
Yeah, Aaron Jones. Jamal Williams is even okay, right? He's even better than like a lot of RB2s.
Yeah. I don't know. I would like to believe that it's just Rodgers coming to an end. But I know that is an irresponsible thought and probably not reflective of reality. Because next year I just know like he's going to be like coming close and just have a career year, right? Just start killing it, and it's going to be back to 1 or 2 years of getting rocked by the Packers. And that's just more of my past experience. It's a defensive mechanism. If I expect it now, it's not going to hurt as much when it actually occurs. So what are your thoughts? What do you think is the issue with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers?
With Aaron Rodgers? I think the issue is that Aaron Rodgers is slightly less insane this year than he has been in the past years. He is still incredible. He has a 20-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, right? So he is still playing lights out, but he's not quite out of his mind, and he is actually making like a couple mistakes a game now. I think that shouldn't be like I think that that's the difference here, right? Like I think that's the difference in between this season and the last season that he was dominant. Like back the last season when he ran the table in 2016, right? Whatever, because 2017 he was hurt the whole time. But I think that's what the difference we're seeing. I think that there's so much talent. The roster, the Packers feel so complete. Like you sit there and you're like, man, Rodgers is like doing it all by himself. But then you start to look at his talent, and he's got one bad guard on his offensive line, and the rest are like some of the highest rated linemen in the league. And then you look at his receivers, and Geronimo Allison is, I think, pretty underrated. He's a wide receiver 3, so he doesn't even need to be good, and I do think he's actually pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels like that's a Packers thing. Like they just make good wide receivers, or maybe Aaron Rodgers just does some one-on-ones at times. You know,
yeah, teams do that. Like I feel like teams have like things that they're really good at finding, and then they consistently find that, or at least like maybe like management's people, right? Like the Eagles will always be good at finding linemen, right? And they'll always be good at developing linemen, so they'll always have a strong offensive line, and they'll never whiff on linemen. But they can't find a corner to save their life, right? Like they whiff on a corner every single time. I think that the Packers are just really good at getting wide receivers. Equanimeous St. Brown, the rookie, he went undrafted. He was actually supposed to be like anywhere between rounds 2 and 4 as a receiver in this draft, but he went undrafted because people started to question his love for football. A couple recruiters had talked to him, or a couple of the scouts from Team Scouts had said the same thing about him, and so he ended up going undrafted. But that was another guy that was like really high potential pick, right? And I think he is he looked like he's showing why, kind of. He's running his routes really well. He's making some difficult catches and everything. Jimmy Graham, I think, is the worst receiver there, and it's hard to yell about Jimmy Graham being terrible, right? Like he drops passes, and he's obviously not great, right? He's obviously not like he was on the Saints, but I mean, with you're
I don't know what happened.
If that's your worst receiver, right? Is your tight end?
Yeah, right.
Aaron Jones is a good receiver out of the backfield. He's proved. Coming out of the backfield, so he's loaded on offense. He's completely surrounded by weapons. If you hop over to the other side of the ball, the last they consistently have a top. I actually don't know what their pass or their run defense is this year, but they have a consistently top 5 run D. I think if they're missing anything, maybe their pass rush isn't super great. But they have a good linebacking core, right? Like Clay Matthews is kind of older now, but I mean he's still good.
Yeah. I mean he's been getting good tackles and sacks too.
Yeah, he's having a much better year, right? Like he's been hopping up this year. So their front 7 has always been good, right? They've never been great, but I mean if you have a great offense and then you have a good defense, right? Their secondary always seems to be terrible. Doesn't matter who you throw back there, right? Jair Alexander, I think, would be having a Marshawn Lattimore type year on any other team. I don't know what's wrong with the Packers, and that's right. That has to be something. There has to be something with the coaching there, because I can't look at a position and be like, ooh, oh, everything just looks complete there, and their quarterback is playing really well. So it has to be the coaching, right?
Yeah, I would say, especially, I don't know who their defensive coordinator is now, but I know they got rid of Dom Capers because he was after a decade or so. Like, it was a long time before they're like, you know what? We're just tired of this. And they seem to be doing better those years in terms of, I mean, really, maybe it was just Rodgers, just since he had that, he was great and not just good like he seems to be this year. You know, he was making those clutch plays rather than here. I mean, there's a lot of mistakes you don't normally see from a quarterback, from him specifically, and that's where I'm like there's just been some really strange plays that I don't understand that came from him, because I've seen him do it all the time. 3rd and 10, and I'm always like, yeah, this is going to be a 4th down. Rodgers runs to the outside, gets like a 30-yard pass all the time. Like his 3rd down conversion percentage was huge. I'm not sure how it is this year, but it's always been consistently really good, because he always had done stuff like that. You know, I don't know how many 3rd and longs, 10 and even more than that yards this dude is just converting on. And it happened to my team a lot, and it did not make me the happiest person seeing him do this. And so it's hard to say what's going on this year, because he's done stuff all the other years just fine for the most part, and they've had to mostly rely on their offense to win. Because, you know, it was more of like, can the defense just do enough to allow Rodgers to score more than whoever their opponent was? And like Drew Brees had that issue, where it was like only he would be throwing like 5 touchdowns a game and still lose because their defense was so awful before they shored that up.
Dude hit 5,000 yards 5 times. And like every time he had like I wonder how many times they hit the playoffs. I actually want to like compare that. I never thought about that. Like every time he had like a bottom 5 defense.
Yeah, I mean, I remember games they had 35 points and they lost multiple times. I'm like, at that point, I get that there's just not a lot you can do. This year, the Packers, they haven't been scoring that much even. And while you can blame some of their losses on bad plays, Ty Montgomery running it out, they were going to beat the Rams, likely. Yeah. Right? Rodgers was going to more than likely run it or get down to field goal range, and Mason Crosby, one of the best kickers, was likely going to win it for him. So that had to sting. But and that game was a more high-scoring game. Like, they seemed to play well, but then other games. I mean, other games where it feels like they shouldn't have even come close. They almost lost to the 49ers. Like, it came really close to them losing that game.
Man, I was rooting for the 49ers. I was hoping that they would take them.
Yeah, I was too. Like, once I saw that they were playing that well, I'm like, yeah, now I'm getting into this. But he was able to come back and beat them. And, I mean, you could argue maybe they shouldn't have won that game. But either way, is it the defense not getting stops? We've heard a lot about Mike McCarthy's play in this. Like, is he just not evolving with the game, or for what Aaron Rodgers needs compared to what he wants to do and how he wants to run things?
Yeah, I think that Mike McCarthy, he's going to take heat, and I think he should, because I feel like Aaron Rodgers is still playing out of it, like playing really good, right? So he's normally like here, and now he's playing like here or something, right? And that drop off shouldn't be enough to where you're suddenly missing the playoffs, right? If you've created the team, right? Now the team needs to be coached at this point, and something's going wrong there. And then I wonder also if there's like this spiral down effect where like Aaron Rodgers, you mentioned before in like one of our conversations that he holds the ball forever, which is true, right? Like he's always extended plays and everything, right? But like now I'm wondering if he's doing it more because it's like I can't trust, or I mean, like he can't trust the play that's developed that or the play never develops, right? Maybe the play sucks because I mean, any team you hold the ball for long enough and protect him long enough, protect your QB, eventually a receiver is going to get free, right? It is hard to just stick to receivers permanently. So everything before that is the play that was designed and called, right? That play that's designed and called failing to get receivers open and stuff. I don't know. The head coach also has a responsibility to make sure that he gets a defense in place that can work, right? And maybe he spent too much time on Dom Capers. I know he's got a newer DC now. But I mean, he's still getting the same results, right? And they're arguably more talent. And they got rid of Clinton Dix for I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they were prospected to do well this season. At least not nearly as not these results.
Yeah, they added Josh Jackson and Jair Alexander to their corner, which everyone's like, man, if they just get good corner, if they just get one good corner, then they'll be unstoppable, right? And it kind of felt like maybe that's true, right? But I think Jair Alexander is a beast corner. He's a great rookie, and Josh Jackson is too. So I mean, like I think they got two of the best corners. Like they got the 2 and 3 of the like out of the top 3 corners. You got Denzel Ward, Jair Alexander, Josh Jackson. I feel like they got 2 and 3 out of who is actually the best corners in that class.
Yeah, well, I think they have been suffering from some injuries on defense. Now, I still don't think that that's enough to. I don't know. It's not enough to see how. To see the results that we've seen, right? I guess either way, the offense isn't performing how we thought it would, regardless of what the defense might do. I mean, because again, the Packers, it's not like they're dropping lots of points to opponents every single game. And again, I don't think that people have been giving the Vikings enough credit at that as well. Like the Vikings have a solid team and a decent defense with your boy Xavier Rhodes leading that pack. What? You don't like that?
Xavier right this way, Rhodes. The dude that got first team All Pro by being like the 32nd best corner in the league. For allowing he allowed like the 56th worst passer rating in the league. Like congratulations, dude. He didn't have any more tackles than like a normal corner. He had like a lot of tackles, but it was like kind of in the mix at like 8 or something of corners. There was just nothing he's on top of. Like he's not even in the double digits of most like statistics, or he's not even in the single digits of rank wise in most statistics. It's first team All Pro because the Vikings. That's another thing. It's like he's getting first team All Pro. He's on a defense that has another first team All Pro guy in Harrison Smith. And like Harrison Smith was playing out of his mind that year too. So I don't want to like even though I don't think he's as good as that year would indicate, I think that whole defense as a whole was gelling, and there were like 5 people you could make the case for first team All Pro on that defense, and Xavier Rhodes is not one of them. Anyway, that's my Vikings rant.
Yeah, hey, I gotta say that, right? They played. Look. The Bears played the Vikings, and the Packers played the Vikings, right? The Bears had a good defense that could disrupt the Vikings' offense a little more. But again, I think that the Bears should get a lot of credit for having the ability to do that, and not just, oh, Kirk Cousins is a bust. Why did you pay him so much?
Yeah.
All right. He's good. And I think that it shouldn't just be, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to win out against the Vikings. It's like that's a tough team. If he loses, it's not terrible, except for the fact that he drops in record. He didn't lose to a bad team. He lost to a really solid team on both sides of the ball. And they were able to stop him enough to get the win. And, they just they made minced meat out of Aaron Rodgers, and it was kind of nice. I like seeing him. Too bad Anthony Barr couldn't give him a little bear hug again.
Yeah, the Vikings they're a legit team. They are solid and they scare me a lot more than they scare like Seahawks Twitter, obviously, because everyone's like writing that. I feel like everyone's writing that game off. I think that's one of the tougher games of the year. I think that it's like the LA Chargers game, kind of is how I see it. Kind of in that same tier of game. Like I don't know how we're gonna. I mean, we should have beat the Chargers, but that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But we should have beat everyone we played except for like the Bears. Like,
yeah,
it's been pretty bad.
So shall we go ahead and are we done?
Seahawks?
Yeah, are we done talking about how terrible the Packers are?
Yeah. Especially because maybe we need to look into a little bit more. Also, we'll continue. It'll be a multi-part series on the Packers.
We'll see how next week goes. See how they improved, or if they didn't improve, and it was just because it was the Cardinals.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have a Packer Watch, and maybe we should pay someone to make a little graphic that we can put up like Packer Watch, like the Double Jeopardy thing or something. All right. So anyway, the Hawks defeated the objectively best team in the NFL in the Panthers. Gave them their only loss at home, the only one. I went ahead and made sure I screenshotted the Panthers record and grabbed the home section and then highlighted the little yellow. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know why they invited us into Charlotte. Like you're gonna lose, and then of course we go and dominate them from bell to bell. Not even close, right? Easy game, easy life.
Seahawks do that to the Panthers.
Yeah. Dude, Christian McCaffrey. I was so scared of that guy going in, and it like all my fears were confirmed. It was so bad. Oh my God, he tore us up. He gashed. So the Seahawks defense is not good, right? There's a lot of holes on that thing. And the biggest thing when the Seahawks were a good defense, they still had a lot of issues with speedy guys, really fast, jukey guys, right? That was the weakness of the Legion of Boom's weakness was that, right? The Tyreek Hills of the league. And so Christian McCaffrey hopping in there, I was like, dude, we missed so many tackles, Zach, I want you to make noise so that the thing becomes big and then look directly at the camera so I feel like you're looking me in the eyes when I tell you this.
Yeah.
We missed so many tackles. Zach, we miss Frank Clark misses almost every tackle he goes for. It's nuts. It's insane. I don't know why. And Frank Clark's not even a bad player on the team. He's not even one of the bad players, but they're just.
Yeah, he's really good at talking.
Yeah, he is really good at that, right? He's really good at being an asshole. I'm not the biggest Seahawks fans that if any watch this. I'm not the biggest Frank Clark fan. I think he is a monster pass rusher, but it's generous to say he's on the field at all in run defense. And I'm also annoyed that every game he misses one of his sacks in a devastating manner. He'll punk his tackle, right? And he'll be back there and he'll dive at Stafford who's not moving and just miss and slide past him. And then Stafford will run 8 yards and pick up the first down. This time, Cam Newton ran for 30 yards, 30 yards because he came up behind him. And before Cam Newton even takes off, he dives at Cam Newton's ankles while he's taking his first step and just completely gets air. And then Cam Newton goes for 30 yards.
Man.
I'm dude, he hadn't even started running yet. Come on.
No, that's bad. You can't miss those.
Yeah, so we have that is our the state of our tackling is Trey Flowers has missed a lot of tackles, but he's actually a really strong tackler. Bobby Wagner is the best tackler in the game. Bradley McDougald's pretty good at tackling too. Tedrick Thompson is hit or miss. He's really good I think he's good at tackling most of the time, some 70% of the time, but then the other 30% of the time he'll go and he'll hit up here against the guy and look like he's trying to reach around and then just kind of fall over. He's had a couple of hilarious misses. A couple times he just flat just shot a streak and then just right past him. It's just our tackling is really atrocious this year, and having going against Christian McCaffrey when that's the case was always going to be a recipe for the disaster. That guy got Manny in fantasy league, like his fantasy league, like 50 points. That's how bad that guy was for us. Like it was terrible. He like single-handedly carried his team to the point of almost victory, right? Like they lost to a Graham Gano missed field goal. And that's it. That's not Christian McCaffrey's fault. Christian McCaffrey did everything he needed to win that game.
Yeah, that dude, he was killing it, and that guy's fast. I watched that game, and I didn't know that he was that quick.
Yeah,
and that much of a playmaker on the Panthers.
Honestly, yeah, like paying attention to the Panthers this year, I've actually watched a lot of their games, and I feel like when you start talking about like I know there's no way Christian McCaffrey is going to win MVP, right? Like I'm not like saying that I'm inserting him in that conversation, but if we go to like the most pure definition of most valuable player, if you want to like oh yeah, this is what value is and everything, right? I feel like it's fair to be like Christian McCaffrey is more valuable to his team than like Todd Gurley, for example, right? Because Todd Gurley, if the Panthers are in a bad place, Todd Gurley doesn't get used because he's not the value of the team. He's not the engine of that offense, despite what everyone would have you believe. He's an elite running back. He's one of the best, but he is not the most valuable player in the fucking league. Watch the Rams play sometime.
Yeah. Hey, what does your Seahawks Twitter have to say about Todd Gurley now? Don't they like him?
No, they hate him. So if you go check out a dude, Ben Baldwin, every time the Rams will play, you'll get a bunch of cutouts of like Todd Gurley. Like the tweet will just say Todd Gurley is the engine that makes the Rams offense run, and it'll be like a 4-yard handoff where his center and guard blow open like a mile wide hole, and he just takes 4 steps into the end zone. And just things like that. And then like nobody covers him into the end zone, and then he stands still, gets a dump off pass, touchdown. And like there's just always that. Same as like if you watch a Viking game going on, anytime Harrison Smith makes a mistake, he'll make a post with a thing and it'll be like Harrison Smith is better than Earl Thomas.
Yeah. I like those Todd Gurley ones though. He's like look at the skill. Look at the skillful run, and it's just Todd Gurley, running through an open field.
Yeah, exactly. It's just nobody is even around, and he just goes straight into the end zone. And he's just
best running back.
Yeah, he's Seahawks Twitter's of the opinion that Todd Gurley isn't that good, mostly, but Todd Gurley's an absolute animal. I think that he might be like one of the. I don't know if I would put him as the best running back, but he's certainly like in the top 3. I think that he's a monster, and that's not the same thing as being the most valuable player in the league, right?
Yeah, he's come a long way since that middle school.
Since that middle school offense, yeah.
That was.
He saved that franchise because they say that comment is what got Jeff Fisher fired, right? So if you think about it, maybe Todd Gurley is the engine of the offense, in that offense would not exist because Jeff Fisher would still be there if Todd Gurley hadn't called him out so goddamn hard. Or he didn't call out Jeff Fisher. He called out. He did, but not intentionally, right? He was calling himself and his teammates out. And he was like, "Damn, we suck. I don't know what we're doing out there," right?
That is crazy. How much of their team did they actually change before they turned it around?
Not nearly, not a whole lot. That's why
their offense is really what I mean.
So they added Andrew Whitworth, right? And that was huge to shore up that line. I don't know if they added a guard. I don't know what they did at guard, but Andrew Whitworth being added as their left tackle was huge because he's had the 2 best seasons of he's always been a monster, and he's had the 2 best seasons of his career now with the Rams, and that Rams line this season is now the best line in the NFL, right?
Yeah, I believe it, man. I see Goff making a Tom Brady tea party back there.
Yeah, dude. Jared Goff gets like fucking 24 seconds on every single play. Todd Gurley gets holes blown open. Looks like someone took a shotgun to a wall, right? It's just like
Yeah.
you see like people disappear like Cable Thanos or like Tom Cable has a little Thanos glove and just goes like this and just kills the defensive lineman in front of him.
Yeah, it looks like that Dallas O-line.
Yeah, no, yeah, back when they were like they're still good, right? They're still like I'd say top 5, top 8 at worst, but yeah, they have taken a step back, and it's funny, dude. It's hilarious seeing like Packers fans and Dallas fans talking about a terrible line because I mean, like maybe it's just I'm biased because the Seahawks from 2016 and 2017 had legendarily bad offensive lines, the likes of which no one will ever forget existed. Like just total meme town. Just so many great GIFs came out of it. Just so many. And now you got like the Dallas line falls from number 1 to number 5, and people are like, "Our line is terrible. Dak Prescott, how can he throw if he doesn't have any time?" Like guys, I don't know what to tell you, but sometimes a pass rusher gets through. I know you're not used to that, but
yeah, right. I know you're not used to Ezekiel Elliott running at 20 yards every single play. Or not being able to do that, but sometimes he doesn't make a huge play every time he touches the ball.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
Zeke is still a monster too, dude. Zeke. So you want to talk about most valuable player? That offense doesn't exist without Zeke, right? So I would argue that Zeke is one of the most valuable players as well, even though
he just hurdles guys.
Yeah, he hurdles, he powers through people. He's hard to take down. Like it takes maximum effort to stop that guy. That guy's been stopped exactly one time in his career, right? And that was that Denver game that he got benched for quitting.
Yeah, that. Remember that? He was just having a rough game.
Yeah, it was just, they happen. I mean, right? Denver just schemed perfectly. What's hilarious is Denver continued after that, went on to get gashed by every running back that ever played them. It didn't make any. 2016 made no sense for Denver. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. So the Hawks vs Panthers. I don't have a whole lot to say. Russell looked really good again. He's been having a really good latter half of the season. Thank God. I mean, I think that he's an amazing quarterback that doesn't live up to his potential a lot of the time.
Yeah. And that O-line that they've shorted up a little bit. I mean, one of the memes you were talking about, I think Jermaine Ifedi fell over or with nobody around him, like he just went down. I can't remember what it was, but
it was so there was one against the Titans where they did a 5-man cut block and not one Titan went down. And so they created this hilarious situation where all 5 linemen were just laying face down on the dirt while the handoff while Thomas Rawls was getting the ball, and there are these pissed off Titans surrounding him. Yeah. And then there was this one where it's a run, right? Or it's a run. And then Matt Tobin immediately he's lined up at tackle, and he's a tackle that we got from Philly in a trade. Immediately runs out for a pass. Just as soon as the play starts, he runs out for a pass, and a dude just runs through and just tackles the running back immediatly. I think it was Thomas Rawls also. I don't know. It was just hilarious stuff. There's this Twitter account called Cable Thanos. That spawned from that, how absolutely terrible they are, and it is one of the best Seahawks shit poster ever. It's pretty funny.
I'm glad. I'm glad to see them doing well again, because Russell's a great quarterback, and I really thought for a moment he was going to get seriously injured after seeing his knee almost snap in half. I can't remember what game, but it bent pretty good.
Yeah, it was 2016, the first Rams game. There were 3 different games that his knees got hit really bad, but it started with the first Rams game in 2016.
Yeah, and he was like, he's gonna play, like he wants to be out there, and he's a runner too. I know his knees they had to have still been sore. He's running on fairly, slightly injured knees nonetheless, and still taking those hits. Terrible O-line, just getting eaten alive. And still trying to will his team to victory, even though it just wasn't able to happen because of all the issues that they had.
Dude, when he's on the Hall of Fame ballot 10, 15 years from now, however long, depending on how long
the year he retires.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, like 10, 15 years from now, whenever he's on the Hall of Fame ballot, those are like 2 years they're going to pull. Well, they're not going to point to 2016 because 2016 was an absolute disaster because that was the first Cable Thanos year. But they're going to point to 2017 as one of the years because behind that hilarious, maybe the worst O-line that's ever been fielded, he led the league in touchdowns, put 5 more touchdowns on with his or led the league in passing touchdowns, put 5 more on rushing, and then also he also didn't have a run game at all. He put up 500 yards running, like rushing himself, and was the leading rusher by more than twice the amount of the number 2. He just didn't have any help at all. There's 1 rushing touchdown by someone that wasn't Russell Wilson all year. It was so that's a year that he dragged them to 9-7 somehow there. This year, it looks like he might drag this team to the playoffs. It's nuts. How do you take this team to the playoffs? It doesn't make any sense, and it looks like he might do it.
The Panthers game was huge.
Yeah, exactly. If we lost the Panthers game, it's probably over. It would take help. It would take help and the Hawks beating the Chiefs, which is a big ask. That's a big ask. And right now, it looks like they're going to make the playoffs, even losing to the Chiefs. As long as they don't lose a trap game, lose one of those dumb games. They gotta, and they it's still not guaranteed even because losing twice is going to make them 9-7, right? And then that suddenly gets a lot harder to get in. And the Vikings, they still have to play the Vikings.
But so both of those hard games are at home.
Yeah. Both those games are at home.
I can see you guys taking the Vikings at home.
Yeah. I love watching the national narratives. The narratives of when we go beat someone, they're like, oh, why is this team bad now? Or whatever. The Lions were the new hotness in the league. And the Seahawks beat them, and they're like, so why is Matt Patricia? Could he be a 1-year coach or whatever? Calm down, guys. We beat the Panthers or we almost beat the Rams twice, and both times it's it's a weird division game, right? And we beat the Panthers, and it's or we beat the Packers, and they're like, what's wrong with Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, right? Which the Packers are bad. They are underperforming, but it's I didn't see anything that credited the Seahawks with topping them with half the talent on the roster, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking, is that it seems like oh man, it's Aaron Rodgers, so it can't be him. He's the greatest, and it's well, give credit to some of the teams that have beat it, and especially the Seahawks. And now the CenturyLink, right? It's still CenturyLink Stadium. That's a hard venue to play at. During the Legion of Boom times, whenever they were playing in that stadium, the crowd going, I'm that's got to be hard. It's just hard being in there. The crowd's always loud. It's one of the more difficult venues to play in. And you have the Vikings and the Chiefs going there. And again, as long as you win both the San Francisco games, Arizona game, which you should, given the issues with both of those teams, I think that the Vikings could be a win. Um, the Chiefs, I don't know. It'd be interested to see because you know
It's
how
hard.
yeah,
Our weakness, like our corner, like I can't. Is it fair of me to ask our corners to stop Pat Mahomes from dropping 7 touchdowns on them?
yeah,
Like with the way they've been performing.
but you know how Russell likes to go shot for shot with
Yeah,
with other high scoring players.
yeah,
And
that is
Tom
something.
Watson last season,
Yeah, definitely.
or Goff this season.
Yeah, like the Rams both games, right? Lost by both less than a score. So like both were extremely winnable games. That's unfortunate. But yeah, I was thinking about the Chiefs could like there is a scenario where we can win that game, right? Like it's not 100% a loss. It's just really, really hard. Basically the Hawks cannot let the Chiefs shitty defense stop them even once. And then I could see it's possible for like Brad or Frank to make a play, like to make a play happen, right? Like Bradley McDougall, we arguably won the Panthers game because our defense made one play, right? Bradley McDougall went up there. Well, they made a couple, but Bradley McDougall went up there, knocked the ball up when Cam Newton passed it into the end zone. Bradley McDougall went and knocked the ball up and picked it himself, right?
Yeah.
So if he can make a play on Pat Mahomes, like if we can get Pat Mahomes into that gunslinger mode, that more Brett Favre mode that he got into at the end of the Rams game, then potentially Brad might be able to pull it out for us. So
yeah, just as if you guys can stay ahead, be the ones that you score 1st and try to keep that up.
Yeah, and don't get stuck with something stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Don't just
which tends to happen to us. Play calling sucks, but
it's 3rd and 10. Let's hand it off.
Yeah, I know. But we talked about Ben Baldwin earlier, and his like shit posting about Gurley and Harrison Smith. Right, another thing he likes to do whenever we hand the ball off on like 3rd and longer than 8, he's like, when it's 3rd and 24, but you need to establish the run. And it was like when you're down 14 points, but you need to establish the run. It's pretty great. I don't know, the whole run thing. Like I just wish it wasn't so. Like I'm glad we have a run game, and I'm not against that tough style. But it's like Schottenheimer's like run, pass, run, pass, run, pass, right? And so it gets to this point where like the box just start like it always works the first drive, and it's always really good on the first drive, like it was against the Chargers, right? And then he called the same cadence from there on out. Then we suddenly couldn't move the ball anymore, right? So like, oh cool, you caught him off guard with your run pass the first time, and then so they just started stacking the box the first 2 downs. And then they rush 3 on the last down, or if you're the Rams, they do the opposite. They pin their ears back and just destroy your line, because our line. So I want to spend a little bit of time on our line. Our line is good. Whatever it is, our line is not good. Sorry, it is average, I think. Like it is doing much better. Its pass blocking is really good. Chris Carson's actually running through a lot of contact to make it happen, to make like the running game happen. But as far as pass blocking, it is actually like average, which is exactly what Russell needed back when we had that elite defense, right? In order to tear the league up. I think it's like I love where the line's at currently, but it's still not great if you're talking holding off Dante Fowler and Dominique Sue and Aaron Donald all at the same time, right? Like it's still not fair. Yeah. So you can't do things like Schottenheimer likes to do, where like it'll be 3rd and 10 and he'll put like an empty, or it'll be 3rd and 4 and he'll put an empty backfield, like no threat of the play action when you have the best play action quarterback in the league for the last 4 years. Like, and it's just not even threaten the play action, just an empty backfield. And so Aaron Donald and Dominique Sue and Dante Fowler all just put on like the little like bibs or whatever, right? You're like little food things, and just go to town. They're like, okay, I'm not even like, I don't have to worry about a run game. I'm just gonna charge straight through. And oh wow, Russell Wilson got strip sacked and that got returned for a touchdown. huh? And then we lost the game by 2 points. What? Crazy! I didn't see any of that coming. Like, obviously that was going to happen. It happened all game. Schottenheimer. You can't leave the backfield. You have to pretend. You have to at least pretend that the threat of the play action is there, or the threat of the run is there. I wasn't saying you have to run it, but
I can feel how upset you are or how upset you were.
Yeah,
back.
Man, it sucks because like going into those Rams game, I had them both written off, right? Like I was like, well, we're just gonna get destroyed because the Rams like spent all their money in free agency and got literally every prized free agent and traded for a bunch of badasses. But then the Seahawks made it close. They kept it close. It was within one score every like the whole game. They kept it within one score. And were like they would exchange, they'd be up sometimes, right? And it was like, so it started to feel like an actual game, and then it's just so heartbreaking when it's taken from you at the last second. And you like look back on all these like terrible decisions that like lost them drives and shit.
Yeah, because they were undefeated then.
Yeah, we could have handled them their loss, right? And then instead the Saints got to do it, which whatever, good on Breeze, but would have been nice for the division rivals to end their hopes of an undefeated season. I just hope we can make the playoffs, find them in the divisional round, and like have the upset of a lifetime. That would be
awesome.
So beautiful. I don't know. Like I feel like you would need to make a movie about that like is so like the justice there.
I would love that. I would enjoy seeing that happen to them. As long as the Bears, beat you when they're in the NFC.
Oh no, the Bears already lost at that point to the Saints, right? And then like so then we would play the NFC Championship and then beat them.
No.
So, yeah, I mean like because the Bears aren't that good. The Bears are like I don't know. The Bisc is injury prone, right? Like
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, the Chase Daniels is like okay. I mean like you're gonna have him through the playoffs. Khalil Mack's a little overrated, but
Hey, look what Nick Foles did.
That's true.
Akeem Hicks, no, you can't disrespect Akeem Hicks. Khalil Mack is kind of just impervious, so whatever you say about him in any negative light doesn't matter.
Wasn't Akeem Hicks like a 4th round pick? I'm gonna check real quick because I think he was like drafted. Oh, he's a 3rd round. Never mind. He's a 3rd round.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty big steal.
Yeah, dude is a beast. I love his face. Like he gets like these like crazy eyes, he's ready to eat. He's hungry.
I haven't seen Akeem Hicks crazy eyes yet.
Telling you, just watch him like he does that, he's just sitting there and he's just like, rah, got a great tackle, stopped him at the goal line on 4th down or something, gets a sack. Just watching him get up, like it's so fired up. Danny Trevathan is also a great defensive player. He's one of the better ones, I would say. He gets a lot of pretty good tackles. All right, how about your boy Roquan Smith? What's your take on that guy?
I mean, he's a rookie. He's trying to play. He's your middle linebacker, or he came in as a middle linebacker. He is still your middle linebacker, right? And Trevathan's not.
Right.
Yeah. So Roquan, I don't know. So like as a rookie, they're always gonna, or I don't want to say always because Darius Leonard is annihilating people right now, but as a rookie, you always expect them to struggle at least their first year, right? That's like a realistic expectation. And I feel like he's not even struggling a whole lot so much as he's had like moments where he's like, where you're like, oh, Roquan, what the fuck? Right? Like he gets he's missed 7 tackles or something, I think, right? But I mean, he's made, let me look up, like he's been involved a lot. He's been everywhere.
Yeah.
So, like you're gonna miss.
He's made some key tackles. His first tackle was a sack on Aaron Rodgers.
He has 81 tackles right now. And 4 sacks. For your linebacker, 4 sacks, like that's a wrap for the season. That's good. right? So I don't think Roquan Smith's even doing that. I just think that like some of the time he's made mistakes that you wouldn't expect him to make, and I think it's just going to be a learning curve. But I think he's going to be
They've been
an
crucial
absolute
plays
monster.
that he's missed on.
Yeah, so that's why everyone's looking at him, right? Because like he didn't stop the Pins from winning that game, right? And
Which that whole defense.
I know that time, like he was not the only person that failed to bring down somebody in that game. I don't know what happened. That is the biggest scary factor about the Bears, right? Is the biggest thing that scares me the most is that Pins game. They just missed all those tackles. What happened there? Like, why couldn't they finish the Dolphins? Was there another game that's like kind of like that happened this year?
Yes, only we've won it. A couple games, and it was earlier in the season. I would say it was against Arizona.
Oh, that's right. That's the other game that I was thinking of.
I went to that game, and I mean, there was just what is going on. That game, our defense saved us. We shouldn't have won by only 2 points at 16-14. Now, they were still trying to figure things out. I mean, whole new system, whole new offense. Trubisky's second year, but he didn't even play a full first year, and it was under shady circumstances, to say the least. I mean, it was they weren't the best, and so I got to say, for what I've seen, it wasn't that bad losing to the Dolphins. It was just did leave a bad taste in my mouth because I was just at that point I'm like, but it's the Dolphins, and we were just being paraded around being beasts. We came off of a huge win against the Bucs, who did have a terrible defense, but we still put up almost 50 points on them. That's incredible. You know how many games we've been over 40 points? Like a tiny amount, even 30 points. Before Trubisky came in, like we've had the most games above like 25 points in a season in the past 10 to 15 years. Maybe the 2006 Super Bowl run was one of the ones where they consistently scored a high amount of points. And as I've showed you before, right, Trubisky is on set to break the single season record for different quarterback stats, for the Bears, the franchise record.
Yeah.
Like, that is nuts. And people are like, oh man, he's not that good. Like, or he has issues or whatever, but he has issues, right? They're not looking at him that good, and he's about to break a ton of records for the franchise as a QB. Like, that blows my mind. And that's why I really like him, because
I just really feel bad
I haven't
for
seen
you.
Like,
it just makes me feel bad for your quarterback situation over the years.
Man, just the sadness. We've always been a defensive heavy, and now we have a defense and a decent offense. I'm looking forward to the Rams game. That's after this Giants game. So we're going to be facing them, and then we face the Packers. So
I'm looking forward to that Rams game too. If there's anyone that can stop that offense, it's your guys' defense.
Yeah. Their defense is a bunch of posers.
Their defense sucks, dude. They're like the bottom. They're below 20 in everything. Everything.
Yeah, I thought that they were going to be good because of, they brought in Dante Fowler, like after they already had what seemed like a stacked defense.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh man, that's going to be amazing. And then, I mean, they haven't performed as I would have expected them to perform with the talent.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you think about it, like, they got a lot of, like, star players, and they're just – it hasn't resulted in this lockdown defense, right? Instead, it's been like, it's become obvious that Aaron Donald doesn't play the run at all. The reason why he averages a tackle for loss is he will not try and tackle a running back ever. Right? Like, unless he's behind the line of scrimmage. His only thing he does is instant penetration.
Yeah.
And then we'll tackle whatever's back there. So if a running back has gotten to the line, he's not doing anything to stop him from getting through. And then you see Marcus Peters was a poser. Like he's feast and famine, right? Like he would always allow a lot of yards and allow touchdowns and everything, but he get a lot of interceptions too.
He intercepted Mahomes.
Oh, kind of, I guess.
Yeah. No chief around him like Mahomes, just kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Mahomes got hit on that play.
He got on that one. He like I think his hand hit like someone hit his hand or something. I think. But
go on.
All right, but yeah, I don't know. Anything else you wanted to hit on?
Well, I guess I just wanted to end with this. Week 2, the Bears beat the Seahawks 24-17, and that was a pretty good game.
Dude, I don't remember that game. Did that happen? Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, am I in the Twilight Zone right now? No, yeah. So we've lost so many games, and you can point to you can point to 9 things that we did wrong in those games, and be like, if you have any one of those things, like that game's yours, right? So like that game, like any one of those games, like we killed ourselves in all of our games except for the Bears game, which I think kind of went the opposite way. I think you guys killed yourselves, and we had and the Bears game was like we lost 24-17, right? Yeah. 7 points, but really like that. It's one of those games that doesn't tell the story, right? Like like it'll be, oh, cool, you had lost by 7 points. It's like, well, I don't know, the way like you watch the game script and take away the point values, it looks like you lost by 3 touchdowns, right? It was pretty bad. Like we weren't ever really in that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you guys scored that touchdown like right at the end.
Yeah.
Because you guys were just like, we're going to do this, and there was hardly any time, and because of that, because the Bears they're really good in the first 3 quarters, and then because we normally have had a comfortable lead for most of our games, we've allowed the teams to score in the 4th quarter. Like look at the Lions, look at the Jets. I think the Jets, obviously the Seahawks, a couple other teams, but I think even the Buccaneers, right? Like only a certain amount of their points came in the 4th towards the end because we were stomping them, and so we've allowed the most points. And there was a game, all right, called the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears, in which they let 21 points go in the 4th because Aaron Rodgers decided, I'm going to turn on awesome mode at this time and the Bears have also, they let up. Right, they stopped controlling that game. Yeah. Regardless, I don't want to go through that. That's a rough one. That's still sharp. All right. 21 points, though, were scored in the 4th quarter on that game. That is ridiculous. And that's something that I hope doesn't come to bite us for close games, right? I get when it's kind of garbage time and things happen. I'm not too worried about that, but man, we cannot be up on the Packers and lose that game. And we won't. But that's what I wanted to end on. I thought that game, because we rarely beat the Seahawks recently because of Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
It was nice to do that. It was nice to do it early when you guys were still really crappy before you started to shore up that O-line.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know, like we are much better than we were back then. I just wonder if it would even matter. Like, maybe. We'll see. It's still, the Bears are a really tough matchup, especially because we're not going to be able to run all over them. And Brian Schottenheimer likes to make 80% of our plays runs. So, actually, this Panthers game, we threw 60% of the time, so it was actually really good. It was the first time it's shown signs of life as far as like adjusting the game plan, right? Like we have a game plan and we're really good at executing it. The problem is we're not good at shifting away from that game plan. Yeah, if things start to go wrong, right? So good thing the Rams can't stop the run, or else know that those games would never have been close, right? But all right, anyway, I got to take off. Yeah, anyway, anyone who ever sees this, if anyone ever does, Bobby Wagner, thanks you for watching. The best linebacker in the NFL, the best linebacker that's ever lived. Brian Urlacher sucks. Yeah.
The disrespect. Thank you for watching the first video in our series. And we'll come back each week from here on out to talk football up until the Bears win the Super Bowl. So
I don't know how the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl because they're the NFC team, and so they're not even going to be there because the Seahawks are NFC as well. So, but I mean, all right. Just remember, everyone, go Hawks.